Estamos aqui diretamente de São Paulo, espaço Pro Magno para mais de 52 países. Quem estava acompanhando a live ontem sabe que infelizmente perdemos 2 países ao longo do processo e hoje estamos ao vivo para toda a nação lusófona que nos assiste aqui no De Quem é a Vez. Você, todo mundo, eu estou muito feliz. Mais um dia da transmissão oficial. É a primeira vez que o Diversão Offline faz algo assim. A gente tem esse espaço lindo, 25 metros quadrados, do mais puro pinho nacional. É incrível, estamos com carpete roxo. Enfim, eu não vou me delongar muito mais, porque hoje a gente tem bastante coisa para fazer. E hoje a gente vai sair com essa câmera, vai tirar a câmera daqui e vai sair para percorrer a feira toda para mostrar e dar um gostinho dela para você que infelizmente não pôde vir. Ontem eu fiz o convite para você vir hoje, mas hoje de repente está muito em cima para você vir. Rafael Morato, você sabe, eu já te chamei, você está com o teu nome na porta, se não der para entrar, eu simplesmente joguei para outra câmera. Se você não puder vir aqui, fala então, chama um amigo, fala assim, ó, tô te passando meu convite, porque você tem um convite assegurado, você mora do lado, não tem porque não vir, você já está convidado para ver essa maravilha do Diversão Offline. E mais do que isso, antes eu quero obviamente agradecer os nossos patrocinadores. Já está aí? Já. Eu queria agradecer os nossos patrocinadores, né? A PaperGames, Bestmark, Nerd Bruto com essa mesa maravilhosa e a Tiendamia. Inclusive, a Tiendamia está com promoção de hora em hora. Começou à meia-noite de ontem e vai terminar às 11h59 da noite de hoje. Cara, e são promoções incríveis. Eu já vou começar aqui com as promoções das 11 horas. Olha só, a gente tem o Viticulture Essential Edition com 50% de desconto. No chat, o Medina, que está aqui acompanhando tudo, ele vai colocar o link para o site da Tiendamia, com o nosso site especial, mas também vai tentar botar as promoções à medida que eu for falando. Então, se não aparecer alguma promoção aqui ou na descrição do vídeo, é só entrar no site da Tiendamia que você vai conseguir comprar. Lembrando que as promoções são de hora em hora ou até os estoques acabarem. Viticulture está com 50% de desconto. Insondável, 50% de desconto. The Logo Game, The Game of Things You Know and Love, 50%, que é baseado naquela brincadeira que teve no celular e tal, do pessoal ficar tentando adivinhar de onde era o logo e tal. E Poesia para Neandertais, do jogo Exploding Kittens, né, da mesma empresa, né, do Exploding Kittens. Então, vale a pena aí, 50% de desconto. São jogos normalmente que a galera procura no site da Tiendamia, que eu sei que você já deve estar por dentro do que é a Tiendamia. É um site de logística que facilita a entrega de conteúdo que tem lá, de produtos que tem lá nos Estados Unidos e não tem aqui no Brasil. Por coincidência, 2 desses jogos até tem aqui no Brasil, embora tenham ficado esgotados, se não me engano. Talvez o Insondável você ainda encontre, mas eu acho que o Viticulture já esgotou. E a gente tem também 4 jogos com 25% de desconto. O jogo da Funko, né, que é a Goofy Movie Kids, que é do Pateta. Super Charades for Kids. Então, se você tem a garotada aí, tem 2 jogos muito bons. O jogo da Operação Clássico, que lembra que tinha aqui, que você tinha que ficar botando os pininhos e tal. E o jogo de cartas do Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle, que é um jogo cooperativo. Então, se você quiser, esses jogos estão com 25% e os outros com 50%. Agora eu quero saber da produção. Tá aí? Então vamos começar aqui. Eu tô muito empolgado. Eu sei que a live está começando, então talvez a galera ainda não esteja 100% por dentro do que vai acontecer. Mas quem vai sentar aqui comigo é o cara que fez mais jogos na história da humanidade, até onde eu sei, assim, né? Ele tem... Falta 1 minuto? Tá bom. É o cara que mais fez jogos na história da humanidade. Ele tem 65 anos. Ele trabalha com isso há pelo menos uns 35, se não me engano. E ele é PhD em matemática. O cara entende pra caramba. Não só você vai ver nos jogos dele que tem muita matemática envolvida e tal. E muita estratégia de aposta, de leilão, tem muito disso também. Ele gosta muito de jogo de combada, que é o Reiner Knizia. Se escreve Knizia, né? Reiner Knizia, mas a gente fala Knizia, mas eu acho que o certo é Knizia, né? O alemão seria Knizia. Como eu não falo alemão, infelizmente adoraria, mas não sei, a gente vai falar em inglês. E como a gente fez ontem a entrevista do Tom Wessel, a gente vai fazer em inglês. Se você não souber inglês, não tem problema, porque depois a gente vai soltar esse conteúdo com a legenda bonitinha, entendeu? Para facilitar a vida de quem não sabe. Ou então, de repente, a gente bota um esquema de legenda automática, enfim. Mas é porque ele fala inglês, eu falo inglês e a gente se encontra no meio do caminho, beleza? Ele é muito fofo, ele usa uma gravatinha borboleta, que eu espero que ele esteja com ela hoje, porque todas as vezes que eu o vi, ele estava com a gravata borboleta. E o cara já fez mais de 700 jogos. Então eu tô muito empolgado. Não vejo a hora dele entrar aqui para dividir com vocês. Tenho algumas perguntas, não sei se eu vou conseguir fazer todas, porque eu anotei várias perguntas que, enfim, ao longo desses anos jogando, foram aparecendo, pipocando na minha cabeça. Porque o cara, ele não parava de fazer jogo. Eu falava, caraca, como é que você não cansa, assim, né? Como é que não acabam as ideias? Mas eu acho que tem um pouco a ver com uma coisa que eu ouvi do Porchat, né? Que é um clássico de quanto mais você faz, mais você faz, entende? É um hábito mesmo. Você vai ter, obviamente, a criatividade, o lampejo, a centelha, mas isso é algo estimulável. Olha aí, the man, the myth. You're welcome. Please, sit with us.
Thank you.
Reiner Knizia. The people are applauding everywhere. I know. Oh, please put it on the phone so you can listen to us a little better. You can speak a little closer to the mic. Okay. Pessoal, só para saber, o fone. Can you say something just for our people to? Something. Perfect. Look at his bow tie. It's incredible. What's the motif of this bow tie?
What is the motive of the bow tie?
Oh, all right. These are the games that made him famous worldwide. So I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
And I will say sorry beforehand because of my English. It's there, but I think if you don't understand something that I said, you just talk to me and I will try to rephrase.
And I'm very sorry about my Portuguese.
All right. First of all, I talked to Mr. Knizia yesterday on the award that we held here in Diversão Offline. And I have a similar question today. With over 700 games created and more than 30 years of experience averaging over 20 games per year, it seems like you will reach 1,000 games by 2038. Did you enjoy the math I did here?
The counting, I'm a mathematician.
Yeah, I know.
The counting is very difficult because I think I'm already at 800.
Oh, it's already 800.
It's difficult to count because once I adapt the game for a different market or republish it with a different theme, is it still the same game? Do you count all the games which I published in magazines? So we can count a lot of different numbers. I think your forecast is quite pessimistic.
So we can hit this market by 2025, maybe.
That's a bit short.
All right.
It's also, when we look at, I'm talking about different games, but if we look at all the different editions, so we have some games where we have 20 different editions, then we have far over 2,500 games, yes?
Wow.
Editions, not games, editions in different languages.
It's incredible. You are the most prolific game designer that I know, and I think the most prolific designer that existed till this day. It's incredible. And I asked yesterday, how can he manage to have so many ideas for the games? And what did you say to me so that we can record this on camera?
I'm not short of ideas. I'm actually cursed by ideas.
Yeah.
But the point is, having good ideas is not easy, but having good ideas is not my challenge. My challenge is then to take these ideas and to develop them into a perfect product. And that takes a lot of energy and a lot of time. So the idea is only the starting point. It's like when writing the book. if you write a nice fiction novel story and you have an idea for the storyline and the characters, that's a starting point. But writing the book, that means developing the game, is much, much more work intensive, and that's where I'm always short of.
That's incredible. And sorry. And do you have how many people working for you? Do you have like a team that helps you to polish the ideas sometimes? Because it's a lot of games. You handle all this by yourself. How is the process?
I have a team, but the team more supports me on the operational side. There's Karen, who does all the back office work and keeps all the communication going, and there is Britta, who does the licensing, because designing the game is one thing, then placing them with the publishers is another thing. And so that is just keeping the operations going, and these two ladies are extremely competent and extremely engaged, and they help me a lot in bringing our business forward. And then, of course, there's design side you are asking. I have noted that it's not easy for me to design with other designers. There are very rare examples and rare occasions, because I get up very early the day, and when I design, I'm very fast and make changes very fast, and that's now the play team. We have a team every day, a different team coming to play. These people have normal jobs, but in the evenings we play. And so I can play a game on Monday and then do lots of changes and then try it on Tuesday with the next group. And so having a big group of different testers and also the target group of testers is vital. And with this respect, there is a big team, but it's not employees, it's not people full-time, it's enthusiasts where we play.
Yeah, I would be one of these enthusiasts. If you were around me, may I please play this game, so I could say that I played before everyone and I tested, and it's incredible. By the way, I was thinking, do you consider yourself like the Stephen King of games? Because Stephen King does a lot of books every year, and they are almost every book that he made is good in a sense. So I prefer the books like Green Mile, 11, the one that John F. Case is. It's a time travel book. But do you consider yourself this? How do you? I will rephrase the question. How do you feel when you look to all your work, your previous work, and see, my God, I did 700 or 800 games, and there are a lot more to come, and I don't feel tired by all this, but it's actually the opposite of it, because I feel enthusiastic to do more and more and more, and keep walking. We are not being sponsored by this beverage, but you keep walking and walking and walking. How is this possible? I ask because a lot of game designers are watching this, and they would like to know how to be consistent, how to don't give up, because the Brazilian industry is really hard to thrive.
In the end, it's the love for the games and the dedication to really focus on what I want to do. I'm very blessed because I work in an industry, I chose to work in an industry, but I'm also, I believe, a little bit gifted to work in this industry and to make a really nice contribution to the happiness and the enjoyment of many people. And that's, I think, the biggest reward you can get. So for me, designing refreshes me, designing is my life.
It's like an elixir.
Yes, exactly. And as I say, the curse of the ideas is I'm so fascinated by see how can I develop this, and I panic because there's never enough time, and then I see a very good groundbreaking idea in one of my drawers, and I haven't touched it for the last 2-3 months, and say, why did I not get around to do it? And there's another one, and there's another one. You know, I had 50 drawers where...
Right now?
No, no longer right now, where I had one game idea in development. Not just a game idea on paper, but in development. Wow. And when the pandemic came and we couldn't test, I had to buy another 50. So now I have 100 doors, and no sane person can work on 100 games at the same time. But it is the curse of the ideas, yes, and it at least has the advantage that usually the ones which are most exciting and which are flowing nicely will come to the foreground, whereas one which gets stuck eventually falls out of the 100, yes. So it's a never-ending story, and I wish I could double my life, and I would still be busy.
You still be busy doing games.
Yes.
I love this idea of microgaming. The one that I enjoyed the most was Duo Regna. I don't know which one of these did you prefer the most, but Duo Regna by far was incredible because I love games for two. And the mechanics of like a struggle, how do you say, a struggle war, that you pull for one side. And
or the tug of war. Yes.
Tug of war, yes. I loved. But I really enjoyed these other two because it's like a game of you have to be fast, of course, but you play with everyone at the same time. So I really enjoy, and this is a cooperative game. So and the size of it's incredible because you can put it on a pocket. I really enjoy it. I don't know if I'm putting you on a spot, but if you could say, of these three, which one did you enjoy the most doing it? Which one would you say? You don't have to say it, but if you...
I will. I'm very experienced in dodging questions.
All right.
When I have to say which one is my favorite child.
All right.
But no, the point is, this is only the beginning.
All right.
Maybe I'm giving away a secret, but once the line has become longer, then we can ask questions.
All right.
But the emphasis is really, and that's why it's so difficult to answer the question. The emphasis is really on having different types of games, micro games in there, so that there is something for everybody. And so I don't expect that everybody says all of these are my fantastic favorite, but the one will say this is my favorite, the other one will say this is my favorite. This is the intention. We want to bring enjoyment to everybody, and there is something for everybody there. And once the whole line,
I will send you a question. All right.
Then we can see, and then you may actually ponder whether you really made the right choice or whether you should have waited.
All right, it's fair. Now I have a question regarding your time in the industry. What are the major changes you have witnessed in the tabletop gaming industry over the past 30 years?
There have been many changes, of course. And changes are good for creative people, because if everything stays the same, it's much harder to be creative. Whereas if you have a revolution and everything is different, then it's easy. But back to the question.
No, but it's a good insight.
When we look from the industry as such, of course, we had a strong trend towards globalization. There's a slight hiccups during the latest political situations, but the globalization meant, of course, that production got spread around the world, became more accessible, but it also meant that the games sometimes were reduced to the smallest common denominator. So if you have a company, the more markets it will serve, the smaller the options get for the company to have kind of very different games. So there's a positive and negative aspect to this. So this is just from the global part. I also see, because the markets have of course developed significantly. If I think back, there were 30 years ago, there were the fantasy Dungeons and Dragons games in America, and there were the European more mechanics-driven games in Europe, yes, or in Germany. Sometimes you call it German games. And of course, the globalization has brought these all together. So now all the games are everywhere, and people have a much wider choice to pick. Of course, we have, alone in Germany, I'm from Germany, and Germany is a paradise with respect to games. We have more than 1,000 new releases every year. And so every publisher I speak to says, we want something that stands out from the crowd, but you cannot have 1,000 stand out of the crowd, otherwise they stand one step higher and nobody stands out. So, and then there have been, I mean, I don't know where to stop here, then there have been different funding and different release possibilities through crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So suddenly you can reach other people, but you can also realize projects which may not have been doable through a normal publishing company.
Yeah.
Of course, then you get the other side of, you see nice figurines and nice materials, but then if you look at the game only needs to be delivered after it has been sold, so there's a conflict of interest, where do you invest and so on. So there's lots of changes in there. Also the stretch goals people want in the crowdfunding, so even in the design process you should sometimes think of, how can I build something which is a real stretch goal, but where the game can work without it. Design-wise, of course, the people have different fashions, or different things are cool, are in these days. I mean, we had the tile-laying games and the more strategic games in the 90s, where I think I produced quite a number of classics in this genre. Then came other genres like, then came my biggest misjudgment of ever, that was Magic the Gathering, where
You misjudged it.
Richard Garfield showed me the game before it was published.
Wow.
And I told him it's going to fail, it's not going to succeed, it's too complicated.
I have a fun fact, like an anecdote of I'm doing my PhD now, and I know that you have yours, and my advisor was doing his PhD on CERN, on Switzerland.
Yeah.
And he were there with the guy that created the internet, the World Wide Web. And this guy showed him, look at my idea, and he told, this is not good. This is not good. But you're not, everyone in some time did something like this.
You see, the big revolutions are sometimes very difficult to judge. And there's a brilliant book, The Innovator's Dilemma, which shows exactly when you're an established company, you cannot go into these small markets, and then other people develop the small markets, and once they overtake you, it's too late for you to get in. So there's a lot of things happening, and in a way, just to close the last topic here on the game designs. So of course, the world has moved on, and I cannot rest on the laurels of having done these nice games in the 90s. Of course, Tigers and Euphrates and a lot of these get republished, which is very nice. But then come other mechanisms. I mean, then there comes deck building. And you ask yourself, hasn't everything been done with cards? And then comes Magic as a meta game, and then comes deck building. And so I would really like to do all the trends. You know, I'm very ambitious, but there are many wonderful designers out there. So I think I have made a big impact on cooperative games with the Lord of the Rings games. But somebody else snatched away the idea of deck building. A brilliant idea. But then I thought, okay, if I cannot do all the trends, then why not pick up a trend like deck building and see if I, with Eldorado, cannot give it a different opening so that people understand very easily, why do I change my deck? I go through the desert, I have machetes, I come to a river, I need a boat. Then I go to the desert, why do I still carry the boat? So, or with legacy games, which is another new trend. Where you say, okay, why does it have to be so complex? Can we not do something in 20 minutes? A lot of legacy games in 20 minutes where everybody plays at the same time. So, but I'm drifting away from what are the trends and what I am doing. Of course, trends affect me and influence me, but there has been many things going on. I just mentioned a few, and I'm stopping here now, otherwise I'll talk you to death.
But you can talk all the time you want. We are here for you.
It affects the design, but it also makes it interesting. And I am, this is the last sentence on this, I am really driven by new challenges. Something like, can you do mobile games? Mobile games, suddenly came mobile games. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do a cooperative game? And I like these challenges because they force me to be innovative.
Yeah.
So to leave the trodden path, and you need to force yourself. You need to leave your comfort zone. I know it's the old trodden sayings, but it is true. You must go. You must force yourself to go out, and a new challenge from outside is always good.
I have a simple question, and don't be offended because it's not what I was. It's not because I'm not meant to offend. But I consider myself a goofy person. Do you consider yourself a goofy person?
What is a goofy person?
Like do silly things, like to play with other people and do like a magic over here, or play games. Not board games, but I did it. I did a thing with friends of mine that is a treasure hunter. Because in Brazil, I don't know if you have this in Germany, but we have a thing here called a secret friend. Every year, by Christmas, people gather and exchange gifts that were beforehand sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, I don't like this. Let's transform this into a game, a treasure hunter game. So if you don't like your present, your gift, you can still enjoy the journey to get to the gift. So we use the University of Rio de Janeiro. It's a federal university. All the space, the geographical space of the university, to plant clues over there, so the people could. I will be here, so you have to decipher this charade to go to the other place. So this is what I call a goofy. I don't know if you have this kind of idea of yourself.
I think I have many different roles. In my heart, I think I'm a scientist and I'm an introvert person. If you see me here on the fairs, you wouldn't tell me an introvert person, because it's a different world and I adapt to the world, and I like to be on the stage and I like to do something. But then I like the quietness. I like to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, work quietly on my designs. I have managed very big banks, which needed a lot of organizational skills. So it's different roles you take on. If we playtest, I always tease my playtesters. So I have a very dry humor because I lived in England for a while. It's difficult to say. I think part of us, in some of our roles, we're always goofies. And in some other parts, we're much more serious. So it's just the measure of how much do I have of this role and how much do I have of the other role.
All right.
So another question I dodged.
all right. If you could leave, maybe this one maybe you dodge, maybe not. Let's see.
Okay.
If you could live in one of your games, which one would it be? Like this is where you will have to live to the end of your life.
Oh, this tears my heart out. But I have always been a fan, and I am a fan of history. And the greatest historic period, I believe, for me, what fascinates me the most is ancient Egypt.
Me too. I went to Egypt. I loved Egypt. But sorry.
I would live in ancient Egypt.
All right.
But hopefully not like a mason working on the this is the problem.
Right.
In which role are you there? I don't necessarily need to be the pharaoh there.
All right.
But ancient Egypt, you know, this civilization is so old and which was so far developed.
Yeah.
Probably there have been good years and bad years. So of course in the good years.
Yeah. I really enjoy Ra, by the way. So. We have to wrap up over here,
okay.
But I would like to thank you very much for your time, for your patience, and for your games, of course. Thank you very much once again, and that's it. Queria agradecer a você que está aí assistindo. This is Mr. Knizia, and you're gonna be around the fair, the event, till the end of the day today,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Então, se você quiser encontrar ele aqui, dá um pulo no Diversão Offline, que ele vai estar circulando por aqui, beleza? Eu vou dar uma pausa agora, porque eu vou lá para o stand da Bestmark, mas daqui a 1 hora mais ou menos a gente está de volta, tá bom? Valeu, pessoal.
Thank you.
Reiner Knizia.